What's up, Magnetic Men Club? We are back here on another Friday Live with you guys. So one big thing that's been coming up for us for the week that we've been talking a lot about in our group. If you're not in our group, make sure you get in below and get in on these valuable conversations. If you're already in the group, that this is definitely for you guys. We've been talking about the boy crisis, how our boys are in crisis, our sons are in crisis, our daughters are in crisis, really because of it too, because when one sex loses, the other one loses as well. We all depend on this. We're all rowing the same boat. And these are all of our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, our mothers. We're all in a family together. We all hold family values. We all hold traditional values, especially in our sphere. And so we wanted to talk about really what this is leading to in fatherlessness and how fatherlessness is leading to these different epidemics too, and how what we can really do about it. That's really what this conversation is about, like what we're seeing in society, how we see things going down, the different numbers that we're seeing and all that stuff too, and really the result of it all. I'm Chase. This is my good friend Jared here.
What's up, kids? Another amazing day. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching us. I'm going to lead this episode. Chase has the numbers. I've literally been flying back and forth on another company I have, so I'm really not 100% prepared on numbers today, but Chase has it all. I certainly have done a ton of videos on purpose, on a ton of videos on this subject on our YouTube channel, so click the link down below, at least join or get on the YouTube. I mean, I don't know how many videos we've done, 400 now by now on YouTube. So,
Easy, yeah.
and then obviously, if you are not a member to our free group for Facebook, get on that because every day, probably Chase posts like 3 or 4 different ideas a day, and at least 2 or 3 I'm posting, and they're empowering questions. They're questions I want the group to be involved in, is to make you guys think. And it's not just on fatherlessness and all this, it's on a whole host of issues that men have. And I do want to bring up something. If you join our Facebook group, we just had a bitch join, and I'm not going to use his name, but he got all salty because we allow women in our group. Number one, the co-creator is a woman. Her husband is Chase. Like, we're not here to limit women or to diminish women and their idea. What we're here is help women understand men better. And if they join our group, yes, it's men's issues, but we're trying to educate women just as much as men and what the issues are, because you can't measure you can't manage what you can't measure. So if a woman is having issues with her husband and she doesn't know what's going on with them, how can she help them? Well, if she can join this group and say and ask some questions, we can say, hey, here's probably what's going on. So if you're going to be an asshole and start putting your bullshit in here, you're going to get completely knocked out of this group. I just want positive people, men and women, who are in a positive, maybe they're stuck in their life a little bit and we can help them, we can help each other. But if you're going to be a negative bitch, stay out of my group. I don't care, because Chase, I, or Kim will just boot you out anyway. Anyway, Chase, lead it.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, we just wanted to be clear about that because that's one thing too. He got in there and he was caught off guard. Like he thought that maybe this was more of like a woman haters club or something like that. And it's like, that's not what this is. This is all about win-win relationships. I've been with my wife for 20 years. We've been together for 20 years. We've been together since 8th grade, since zits to gray hair, man. And so that's really what we want to help other people create. We want to help people be happy together and create those win-win relationships. And that's what we're all about. And that's why my wife helps out so much with this, because she understands that it's not just about women's issues. Men are having issues today. And that's what we're going to get into this video about. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today, is the fact that like men are suffering. Boys are suffering because of a lot of fatherlessness, because there's so much divorce going on, because women are empowered, but boys are not. And these are big issues that we really want to discuss and talk about. I've been reading the book, The Boy Crisis. And in that book, he really points out a lot of statistics. And I went through and I researched all these different numbers just to kind of see if they were real, if I could confirm all these different things. And some of the different numbers that he kind of went through was divorce and how much divorce has increased over the years. Divorce is up. 43% of all marriages end in divorce. 70% of all divorces are initiated by women. 90% if the woman is college educated.
Mhm.
80% of the children in divorce situations live primarily with their mothers, and that's according to the US Census Bureau.
Yep.
And so, really, what does that mean? Well, it means that dads are not in the home. Kids are with mom. Only 20% of situations, kids end up with dad. And why is that a big deal? Why does that matter to us? A lot of it comes down to the fact that suicide rates in boys are way up. You see kids under 10 years old, for girls and boys, it's about the same. Boys up to 15 years old, it doubles. Boys all the way up to 20 years old, it's almost 4 times as much. Boys over 20, between 20 and 25, it's 5 times as much as women. Why is that? Why these boys feel like they just would rather die than get into their lives? And even so, even if they don't end up killing themselves in a lot of situations, they end up dying anyway because they really have no purpose. They end up with a purpose void. And a lot of it is attributed to this fatherlessness situation. Fathers not being in the homes. And the thing is, too, is when dads get kicked out of the homes, they're so in debt. They have so much alimony to pay. They get kicked out of their houses. Everything they've worked their entire lives for, they end up usually in an apartment drinking most of the time because they
Yeah.
really just don't even know what to do with their lives anymore. Their lives are essentially over. Their kids' lives, especially if they're boys, are essentially over in that case. And that's the problem that we're seeing systemically in society.
Yeah.
Boys are not prepared for this situation. Girls are. Girls are prepared because of the feminist movement. They have so many more resources than boys do. And a lot of the time, too, what we're seeing is therapists, men therapists is going down. Men who need therapy is going up. And that's a scary situation because a lot of the time they feel like they really got nobody to talk to. Who can they talk to? A lot of the time they're just told to, just be a man, buck up, just get along, go into your life, whatever. It doesn't matter. Your emotions don't matter. What you think don't matter. And that's what they get told in every corner and every facet of
Yeah.
society. And that's why we're seeing this increase in suicide. That's why we're seeing the increase in the prison population up by 700% since the 1970s. We're seeing an increase in addictions and depression. A lot of these boys are really just coping. Like they're just trying to figure out what to do with their lives. And in most cases, they're just coping with video games. They're coping with media. They're coping with porn. They're coping with all these different things, alcohol, weed, whatever,
Yeah.
because there's what other purpose do they have to live after they've been suffering from these different things, right? We're seeing a decrease in testosterone. Since the 1980s, testosterone has gone down by 50%. That's massive. They don't even feel like men anymore. And at the same time, most boys, if you ask them, like they don't want to be a man. They're shamed out of existence. Like they've got nothing but shame in their masculinity. And they're told that men are toxic and that they don't want to be a traditional man. And they're being told this from counselors. They're being told this at school. They're being told this by teachers. They're being told this by their mothers a lot of the time too, who really don't respect their fathers. And so a lot of the time, even when dad is around and wants to be part of their lives, he feels like every effort that he puts in by only seeing them once every couple weeks is washed away. Every effort that he puts in is just completely washed away. So why would he try any harder? Why would he want to try any harder? He just pays his child support and he gets on with his life because that's all he can really do. And what we're seeing is a huge decrease in motivation and drive in these boys. We're seeing a lot of decrease in social skills. They don't even know how to be social anymore. They don't even want to go and be in a relationship with anybody. They would rather just grow up, go to school, get into college, and just live with their dog. Like they don't even want to be in a relationship with a woman anymore. A lot of them just want to be single, and women kind of feel the same way. And that's kind of what we're seeing across the board, from young kids to people in their 30s to people in their 40s. They get out of these relationships and like, I'm never getting in a relationship again, let alone get married again. There's no freaking way. It's not even worth it. And at the same time, too, we're seeing a huge gap in education for boys now, too. We're seeing that college graduates back in the 1970s, women graduated at about 43%, and men graduated at about 57%. Nowadays, men are graduating at about 42%, and women are graduating at 58%. So we have that same gap these days, but the other way around.
Right. Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. And also, obviously, the more educated you are, if you're a woman, you're probably making more money. And from what I noticed is if a man makes more money, he thinks of it, I can provide more. If a woman makes more money, it means I don't need a man. And they have this dichotomy going about them. And this is why women, once they surpass their husbands in income for some reason, not all, but a lot of the statistics around this, maybe they get a raise and they're making X amount more than their husband. Well, I don't need him anymore. I can do this on my own. Oh, by the way, the courts are also going to make you pay maintenance and child support. So I'm going to take your money anyway. I'm not here to bash women, but this is some of the reasoning behind it where they feel that they don't need the man in the household. And maybe the woman does not need the man, but the kids fucking need the man.
Well, in a lot of cases too, they're using welfare as a substitute husband.
Well, they are, and that's a whole other thing that started in Lyndon Johnson era, um, the welfare programs and all that. But we're just talking about today, not even not even the poor, just your typical family, blue collar. Wife is college educated, maybe husband's college educated, and then for whatever reason, her career blows up and she's making X amount more, 30% more, whatever it is. You start seeing divorces happen during that because then she views her husband as less. I'm bringing home this amount of money and you're only bringing home this. You must be less than me. Well, maybe we don't know we don't know the dynamics of that specific relationship, but we do know what society as a whole is saying is you don't need a man anymore. You can make your own money, you can make your own decisions, and you can blame feminists for this horseshit. And then you have the other set of women who understand, like, no, I do want a man. I want I want a man to take care of me. I don't necessarily need to be, I want a job, of course. I want to contribute, but I really want to take care of my kids. And then you have the same subset of people saying, well, they laugh at them and they make them feel just as bad. I'm like, oh, how could you let this man, he's a patriarch, he's a misogynist, how could you let him lead the family? Oh my God, it's not even written in the Bible 32 times, but it is. The point is, you have this society where you have these two sides and they're always clashing. And for whatever reason, I call it the bad side. I call it the side of evil. Maybe is probably a good thing. Is they're winning. They're winning. And who's losing though is the kids. The kids are absolutely losing. Am I a product of divorce? No. Am I a product of a father who worked his ass off? Because I will never take that away from him. But he was an alcoholic and he wasn't there for us on the emotional side. But he was there for us in the sense that we always saw him get up and go to work. We saw him, he could fix anything. We also saw my mom kind of just suck it up and say, listen, until these kids graduate high school, which this did happen, I decided to make 3 babies with him. I own this problem just as much as he's the problem. And I'm going to keep this family together until the last one graduated. And that's what she did. As soon as my youngest brother, Jacob, graduated, she walked out of the relationship. Well, then that's fine. That's a whole different topic we can talk about. But a lot of women just give up and say, well, fuck this guy. He's this, he's that. And then they leave and kind of forget about the kids or forget about or not forget about him because there are some situations like my girlfriend, the guy's a piece of shit. He's a complete piece of shit. He didn't really help at all. And so, but she got out of the situation. She didn't need another man to do it. She actually moved to where her support system was. But she never depended on another man to do it. Does she recognize she needs a man for her kids? To a degree, but she moved to where other men are, her dad, her brothers, the surrounding community. So it is a little bit different. You don't necessarily need the biological father, although statistically that is the best precursor for this. But if he is a piece of shit and he is what he is, other men can help raise the children. But what she does recognize is she can't do it on her own. It's the women who realize they can do it on their own. They can be dad and mom. They end up fucking up their kids' lives. These are the daughters that end up on strip poles. These are the sons that end up in gangs. This is what happens. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the thing is too is it's not even just strippers anymore. Like that's never been more streamlined anymore now either. Like they just end up on OnlyFans in a lot of cases too, and so it's really no different. Like they end up just selling their bodies because like well it's a living and they can, but they don't realize what psychological damage they're doing to themselves, to their kids, to their future husbands, to their fathers, to their brothers, and it's like dude, like this is not okay. It's not okay to live that way, and more women nowadays feel empowered by it and they feel like it makes them more confident and stuff too. And it's like, that's not good behavior. Like that's not behavior of a well-mannered person. That's not behavior of somebody who is self-respect, right? Like it's all about self-respect. Like you don't respect yourself if you're in that situation. Sure. And at the same time too, if your husband's okay with that, if your kids are okay with that, then they don't respect themselves. And so that's one of the major issues here is the fact that like, okay, maybe you're empowered by it. Maybe you're confident because of it, but that only happens to women who really don't have a strong father figure around, because if they did, they would have more self-respect. And so that's the thing too, is boys, if they're okay with that, they're probably coming from a fatherless home too, because they're not taught that self-respect. And at the same time too, even if they do have a dad in the house, if he doesn't respect himself, if he's not enforcing these boundaries and showing them how to live, if they have a weak father, they become weak as a result of it too. And so it's not even just having a man in the home. Like they need positive masculinity. They need positive masculine icons around them. There's so many people around here proving that masculinity maybe is toxic in certain cases, with all the Harvey Weinsteins and Bill Cosbys of the world and all that kind of stuff. And sure, it just makes us feel shame in our masculinity. And it's like, okay, well, no, masculinity is a positive thing. We shouldn't be shamed for it. We shouldn't feel shame for trying to be a man. And that's really what this is all about, is trying to be around men who push that positive masculinity, who are examples of it. And that's really what this club is all about. And that's why we are doing what we're doing, is because there is a void of that right now. And anybody who tries to push this stuff to the forefront, even Warren Farrell, who wrote the book, The Boy Crisis, he was trying to create a committee in the White House for boys and for men, and it still has yet to be created. He was trying to do it back in 2009 when Obama called him up to try and create one for women. And he's like, well, dude, we need this for boys too, because the guy was a feminist back in the 70s. And he was commissioned by feminists to make a whole bunch of boys group to teach them about feminism, to make them respect it. And after talking to a lot of these boys, he started to realize, okay, there's a real problem here. These boys need just as much support as these women. And if one sex loses, the other one loses, because we're all rowing the same boat. And we're all pushing traditional values behind us. Like, we're just like, okay, this is not important. These guys are just here to control us and that kind of stuff too. And it's like, no, they're real values. Everybody's lacking values nowadays. They don't even know what their personal values are. They don't even know what their purpose is. And so they're all kind of just wandering aimlessly in the world right now. And that purpose void is really what's causing a lot of these problems. Because like I said, if they had those values, they had those morals, and they had that self-respect, none of them would be allowing this to happen, but they're okay with it.
Yeah. So what do we do about this? Like, what is, we all know what the problems are, and our whole group, we ask some questions to people, whether they answer or not. Like, what is the biggest issue that men face that women may not realize? And I just posed this question to the group, and pretty much everybody was on the idea of not so much marriage, but the kids. I mean, we do get questions on like people dating, but that's kind of all superficial, because if you don't have kids, then dating doesn't really matter. It's just kind of, you're only dating to date. You're not dating to get into a marriage to have kids. And that's part of our company. It's part of what we do. But a lot of it has to do with, or centered around, the fathers are not able to see their kids, or they're restricted in some manner, i.e., the fucking courts. This is why I'm not a big proponent of marriage the way it is today. They need to change the laws on marriage. This is why they keep saying, and I say they as the government, oh, well, divorce is declining. Well, the reason why is because marriage is declining. Of course, you're going to have a declining in divorce if nobody's getting married. The biggest problem we face in the U.S. and the world is we have low birth rates, very low. We're less than what 1.9 we need for replacement value at a minimum 2.4 in the US. Forget the rest of the world, just the US. So we're losing people through, natural causes, death, and we're not replacing, even at a minimum, those people. And this is another problem that the US faces, and a problem the entire world faces, except for technically Israel. Israel is a very good IVF program for this. Getting off topic, but the point is, it's great. Okay, let's say we increase our birth rate. You still have fatherless people. You have an entire population that have no idea what they're doing. So what do we do, Chase? Like, what are some of the things society needs to understand first and then figure out how to fix it? Do you think this is a government problem? Do you think this is a religious problem? Do you think this is a problem local, like specific chapters that we need? Because we've tried, and the only reason I say this, we've tried the Boy Scouts, and they destroyed the fucking Boy Scouts to allow women in there. But here's the thing, it's not the Boy Scouts that destroyed it. It's the fucking lawyers. And I'm sorry if you're a lawyer. I really don't like you guys. I really don't, because you guys will see. It sounds bad. I'm probably going to lose people on this. But everybody, you guys are just like, oh, yeah, well, legally, you can't do this. What about morally? Morally, can we have a club just for men to teach them how to be in the woods? Can we teach them how to tie fucking knots and make fire with sticks? Morally, can we do that? Well, yeah, we probably should, because this is how men understand. And this is really how men actually process their feelings. Everyone says, oh my God, men need to talk about their feelings.
No.
Bullshit. Men need to be with other men. Men need to go out fishing. Men need to go out hunting. Men need to go be with other men in a competitive nature. This is how they process their feelings. It's always been this way. Now, there are some men that definitely can help, because I coach them. We're talking, but I actually give them action behind this. I'm like, okay, here's what we need to do. It's always action oriented. Women aren't necessarily action oriented unless we're business coaching them. Then of course, they need to have action, but they really just want people to listen to them and really maybe shut the fuck up. Just listen to them. Men, we're always told to shut the fuck up, so nobody listens to us. So we need that part, but then we need the action. So I ask you, what do we do? Like, how does this? What do we need to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been racking my brain on this. I don't understand what we need to do.
The first thing is, like, to understand about all this is that kids copy their parents. Like, often if they respect their parents, they copy who they respect. They copy who they look up to, and often it should be their parents. And so in a lot of cases, they will copy whatever their parents do, whatever their parents believe, whatever they do normally, they will copy that. That's why if dad is coming home and he's stressed out about work all the time and he doesn't like what he does, all those kinds of things, like he doesn't really step up to do anything in the home, even when he is there. This is why I said, even if dad is home, it can be a problem, because if he's just sleeping all the time, he's napping, just like because he's tired, because he's working, but he doesn't like his job. And that's the attitude that he's putting forth. And like, he's not valuing like having family dinners, bonding with his kids, taking him out to swim, like taking them out to learn anything. Like, it can be fishing, it could be hiking, it could be going to the gym and that kind of stuff too, which would make his boys value that stuff a lot more. If he valued going to the gym, they would value going to the gym. If he values fishing, they'll probably value fishing. If he values going out hunting every single year, they're probably going to value hunting. And if they're not ever thrust into those kinds of positions, they're not going to value those things either. If all he ever does is come home, kick his boots off, lay down on the couch, like that's exactly what his kids are going to do. Yeah. And so they really mimic us, and they mimic those people that they respect. And this is why if we see kids in a fatherless home, because like you asked, like whose responsibility is it? And yeah, I think it's probably the parents first and foremost. But this is a societal issue. Like, this is society as a whole. It doesn't matter if it's the government. It doesn't matter if it's church. It doesn't matter if it's the parents. This is all of our problem, because we're all paying for it. The United States pays in excess of $1 trillion a year because of this fatherlessness situation, because of all the issues that stem from it. Women feel less safe because a lot of these men are growing up to become rapists. A lot of the time they're growing up to kill people, and they are. And in a lot of cases too, because like I said, they'll either commit suicide or they'll go and kill a whole bunch of people in a church, at a school, or something like that, and then go to jail for it, or they'll kill themselves. And like that's really what this is causing, is a lot of these issues. These mass shootings have quadrupled since 2011 because of this. And it's often white boys. It's often younger white boys who get into these situations, and they don't know how else to manage their stress. They don't know who to talk to. They feel like nobody cares about them. They feel purposeless. And in a lot of cases, that doesn't really happen so much with the African-American community. Like they just kill each other most of the time. A lot of the time they will just murder each other. And that's a lot of the time what's happening. And that's why the prison population, 93% of the prison population is men. And on top of that, 50% of that is African Americans.
Yeah.
And so most of the time, like they're not really going and committing the mass shootings. A lot of the time it's white boys. And so like we have to look at these issues honestly. These are real issues that we're facing as a society. And a lot of the time too, these men are impressionable. These young boys are impressionable. Like we had a whole entire ISIS situation in the Middle East from a whole bunch of fatherless boys. And so we're sending our soldiers over there. They're coming back as veterans. That costs us more money. So you can see that in every single facet of society, this is costing us money. And on top of that, even if you don't have kids, you're still paying taxes for this. And so this is a collective issue. This is all of our problem, whether we have kids or not, whether it's government, whether it's religion or not. It doesn't really matter. This is all of our problem. And we really need to come up with some solid solutions to really manage this. And so first and foremost, these kids need programs that teach them what they like, what they want to do, to give them more purpose. And on top of that, too, we really need other boys' clubs stepping up and like programs like this, like starting, like if you're in this program, if you get into this program, one thing I would like to see happen is that we start creating these men's groups in our communities. We start inviting these kids out to come hang out, shake hands, learn what a man does, learn what a man wants, step up and show these kids what you do, teach them how to tie a knot, teach them how to change a light bulb, whatever it is, right? It doesn't really matter. Teach them how to change their tires, their brakes, whatever skill you have, do something in your community to teach these boys these different things. If you're at church and you see a whole bunch of fatherless boys at church, it's less common there because they have more traditional values. But at the same time, these churches could create groups for these boys too, to go and learn these different things. It used to be called the Boy Scouts, but nowadays not so much, right? We allow girls and women into these different groups now too, and men need their own spaces where they can thrive on their own. And so that's what all this stuff comes down to. We need to stop getting rid of men's only spaces, boys only spaces, and really start creating them again, because women really have no business in these spaces. This is where we go to learn how to be men and really learn what it means to be a man. And so that's really what all this is about.
So I want to be devil's advocate just to go there. So the one person we were talking about, when he was actually mad that we allowed women in here, how do we, you and I audit that when they bring this up, when we're saying we should have spaces for men, yet we allow women?
So that's different.
Now,
this is a Facebook group. In our community, like if you join our program, it is men's only. And so that's really what all this comes down to. So maybe we could create a second group that is men's only. And like, that's not to say that we can't have women in a certain space, because they want to learn what they can do too. And so we can't alienate women from this either. Sure. If we alienate women from this, then they don't even know how to treat their sons. A lot of these women get into our group because they want to know how to better handle their husbands. They want to know how to better handle their sons and that kind of stuff too. They need this information as much as we do. And so in our group, that's why we allow women in there. But in our program, when you're coaching with us, it's men's only. It's only men. That's it. If you want to get your boys in here, that's only going to be boys and men. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we will say I have coached. If you guys do the one-on-one females, I will do coaching one-on-one. Or if there's enough women that want to do a group on coaching, maybe it's me and Chase talking about a topic that's more geared to women, like how to something with your husband or whatever. We will do that, but then it's only women. We won't allow men into that. So I do want to make that distinction, because the Boy Scouts, there's an outside group that saw this idea of there's equal opportunity but not opportunity of outcome. So everybody has the same opportunity. That's why they have the Girl Scouts, and that's why they have the Boy Scouts. And then somebody sued somebody. I don't know I'm not a fucking attorney, thank God. And then all of a sudden, some liberal judge, assuming, says, "Oh yeah, no, girls should be able to do this. So if you guys don't want to get sued and spend millions of dollars, you better let them in." Well, now you just watered the pool. So I agree with Chase. There needs to be individual groups where men can be men, women can be women. They can learn different things. And yeah, if there's groups where women like, hey, I want to learn how to tie a knot, great. Well, maybe I don't know what the Girl Scouts do. I'm not a freaking girl. Maybe they don't do that stuff. I don't know what the Girl Scouts do. The point is, boys are really good at
They
one
got great
thing. Women
cookies.
are really good at, huh?
They got
I don't
great
know. Yeah,
cookies.
they have amazing cookies. That's all I know is
That's
their
on
goddamn
them, right? Like if
cookies.
they want to teach women how to do that stuff, like make it part of the Girl Scouts. They don't
What
need to
is?
be in the Boy Scouts.
And here's the thing: a lot of women don't get. Like my girlfriend, she can. I don't know if she's a good baker. Her mom is. She probably can bake, but I don't really eat a lot of sweets, so I don't fucking know. But cooking, she'll mop the floor with anybody that I've ever met all day long on cooking. But I don't make her cook. Like she wants to cook. She enjoys it. But if some feminist comes in, why are you cooking for him? Like, this is the problem we have as a society. There's like, if I post something positive, I get retards basically saying, I can't believe you posted this. It's a positive message. It doesn't matter what we do in life, there's always going to be idiots who are going to be mad for you posting it. But when you're a little kid and you only have one side of the story, which is maybe mom 80% of the time, or maybe 90% of the time, you never see dad. It creates a whole different picture. And this is how you get these
Right.
feminized boys who become white knights. They become nice guys, which we talk about all the time. They placate to women because all that they see is women. And if they can make the women in their lives happy, oh, you're such a good boy. You did all your homework. Oh my God, Jimmy, you ate all your vegetables, pat them on the head. And they grow up to be a full grown man. They're social retards and they don't understand what women say they want, but how they respond. And this is a whole problem where then men become blackpilled because they're like, what did I do? All my life, my mom said I was a good boy. My teacher said I was a good boy. All the girls in my class, oh my God, I did everything for them. And then I start dating and they throw me in friend zone. Why? I don't understand. If they had a positive male, maybe if the male's kind of a douchebag and he dated, at least he can help him understand. Like women say one thing, but they really respond this way. And men need to understand that. So every woman says, I want a guy who is all about me. He's honest. He'll never cheat. And then you ask, okay, who did you date in your past? Oh, the dude cheated. He did this. He did that. I'm like, okay, so your ideal self and your real self, there's a problem there. You're not
Yeah.
mapping correctly. I'm not painting all women, but most of you guys are act like this. So it's no wonder when you have young boys at home and you say, find you a girl. When you find a girl, you should be all about her. There should be nobody else, all of this stuff. And they do that, and the girl throws them in friend zone. They're completely fucking clueless.
Well, then on top of that too,
Why
like
you need that in life?
they don't even want to touch women. Like they don't want anything to do with it because of all the Me Too stuff. Because they see all these
Well, that,
crucified for that. And I'm not saying that every man is perfect, that every woman is perfect either. There's definitely edge cases where this matters, but in most cases, what you're seeing from the masses, from these boys, is they're looking at that and they're going, "I don't want to be that. I don't
they
want to be
don't
that
want
guy.
to
I
do
don't want
anything.
to do with that. So I'm just not even going to touch a woman." And so they get scared. They can't even navigate dating because they have no idea how dating works. And like women are like, what happened to all the men? What's going on with all the men? Why is testosterone declining so much? Like men are just gone. We don't even need men anymore. Now we can all just go and be independent women. And like that's all it is. And like then you get all these male feminists out there who are like white knighting, trying to stand up for it. It's like, dude, it's not going to get you laid, for one thing. First of all. And it's like the thing is too, is they act like it's give and take, right? Like anything that we give to men is taking from women. And we can't all just be about human betterment and actually just being better humans as a society.
Yeah. No, I agree. And a lot of it too, this is a man and if you bring a child into this world, it's still your duty, at least till 18. I still think to the end of their life or until the end of your life, but at least till 18, because then they're legally an adult. You have an opportunity and an obligation to the child. Now, whether the father's not around for whatever reason and the mother's 99.9%, okay, she still has an obligation first to the children. This is why you hear some guys saying don't date single mothers. And I do advocate for this to a degree. I kind of change it. Like if you don't have kids of your own, you probably shouldn't date single mom. You should have one of your own because you at least understand the difference. The point is, I always tell girls that I coach and stuff, I'm like, listen, you can bitch about him all you want, but you fucking picked him. But now there's an opportunity for you. You still have to deal with him on some capacity. Now, if he's not willing or not able to raise those kids and you have to find another man who's willing to step into that role, or maybe a community of men, maybe your church group, father, an uncle, at least there's positive men in the guy and the girl's life who understand those different dynamics. But the idea is you have to raise, your goal is still to raise that daughter not to be on a pole. Your whole idea is to raise that son not to go to prison. This is how I think about, like, with my girlfriend. I just had a conversation with her daughter about something to us is trivial. She's away for a week, blah blah. I mean, there's nothing crazy about it, but to her it's a big deal. And I know my daughter, when she comes up at when she was 12, 13, everything's a big deal to them. So you can't trivialize it. You have to get to their level and say, listen, I get what you're saying. To us, we're like, fuck, dude, it's a week. You can't do that to them. The point is, this is what we do to our children, and we trivialize everything. No matter what they say is never important. So when they get to an adult, nothing's important. They don't know how to talk because mom or dad have always pushed their feelings aside. Like, I have more shit more important than you to do. Your child's the most important thing. If her daughter comes to me and says she has a problem, that becomes my most important thing because while I'm in her life, my job now is to not make her be on a fucking pole. That's how I think. And her son, he can't kill people. He can't. It sounds bad, but my job is you cannot go to prison. That's how I did with my daughter, my biological daughter. I'm like, you're 18. You're not pregnant. You haven't been on a pole. Probably aren't going to happen. My son, you didn't kill anybody. You're a productive member of society. Great. Like, that's how I
Yeah.
think. And but people don't do that. They don't think
Yeah.
if I just leave my kids and I don't fight for them, and the mom's multiple dating fucking guys and new guys are coming in, the daughter sees this, and now they have daddy issues. They're like, oh, I just need a guy to love me, and then they find one guy that says I love you, and now they're pregnant. Like this is how this happens all the time. This is
Yeah.
how I see it all the time. These young, beautiful women, an older guy comes in or a guy, 18-year-old, impregnates her. If you set them up young and say, listen, even if like me, I'm my point is like you have to let them understand there are men who care about you, not in that sexual way, but let them understand this is how the world actually is. This is how the world actually works. And make them understand that at least helps them grow to see things the way out. People sugarcoat everything. They
Yeah.
fucking sugarcoat everything. I really want the men in the life to tell their daughters, their stepdaughters, whatever. Look at your her daughter. She's 12, but she's very tall. She doesn't look 12, but she's 12. So mentality, she's 12. An 18-year-old boy is going to look at her. They don't care about age. They're like, oh my God, I'll say whatever the hell I want, I need to say to get in her pants. And if there's not a male figure to tell her this and say, hey, listen,
It's a
I'm a
deterrent.
guy, like I understand these things, the society's fucked up. But kids need to understand society's fucked up and they need to see positivity in the home. They need to see this, and they're not seeing this. They're seeing
Right.
chaos. And where chaos is, it will always be. Because they think that's normal. They think chaos is normal. And it's really not.
Well, the problem is too is a lot of these parents are so self-concerned a lot of the time too. Like I
Yes.
grew up with people who were pretty selfish. And so one thing I can say too is like I don't think that they are thinking about their kids' feelings and what they're learning
Right.
and how they feel in these situations. They're just like, oh, the kids will be fine. And that's not the case. Like the thing is too is like you have to understand how vulnerable your kids are. Not even just the girls, the boys too. Like
The
people take
boys, the girls, boys do the same thing. If they see a stepdad, or not stepdad, they see a dad on divorce, and I get to only see my kid, and he has different girls coming in and out, because men will actually do it more than women. Men will bring in a new girl, and I know why they do it. I'm a dirtbag too. I'd be like, oh, if I bring this little hottie in to meet my son, I'm gonna fuck her that night. That's basically how we think.
yeah.
We leverage our kids for sex. Women leverage their kids for innocence. Like, listen, I have kids. Are you ready to meet them? Then you need to be the solid guy. And
Right.
guys are like, yeah, yeah, I'll see whatever I need to do. Just get in your pants. And then they leave. And now everybody, they don't understand this. Society doesn't get this. And this is where I say we need to be honest in these conversations. And so when I'm coaching single moms or I'm coaching single dads, I'm like, you need to leave your kids out of this until you know that girl or that guy is somebody solid. Don't even bring your kids into this environment.
Well, the thing is, too, is like
And
you get canceled when you talk about stuff like this. You get canceled in society. They won't
sure,
give you a platform. The media
yeah,
controls everything you see. Like, one thing
yeah,
you have to understand is the government, politicians control every little thing you see, every little thing you hear. On top of that, the news controls every little thing you see. They control the narrative, they control the perspective. They show you things in a certain way to make you
yeah,
believe a certain thing. On
yeah.
top of that, Facebook. Have you ever gone into Facebook and like gone into the comments section and seen like, dude, there's 30 comments on this, but I can only see 3 or 4. Why is that? Have you ever asked yourself why that is? Facebook prioritizes comments and suppresses others just to make sure you only see things from a certain perspective. YouTube does this, Google does this. Every single big media company out there is controlling exactly what you see. And that's why it's so important that we sit down and have real conversations like this, because they're trying to make sure you only see things from a certain perspective. And
Yep.
on top of that, like I get canceled left and right on Facebook. Like I don't
Yeah,
even
you've
say
been
anything
settled
bad.
in for like a week.
That's the thing. Like I get canceled left and right. I can't even send messages to people in our group because Facebook won't let me. They just completely cancel me. And so that's just what happens. And I'm not saying anything negative. I'm not trying to take anybody down. I'm not trying to take anything away from women or anything either. Even my mom hates what I do. She calls this the man haters club, a woman haters club,
Yeah,
whatever. She's the woman haters club. That's exactly what, from the Little
but she
Rascals,
probably
right?
has never seen a video. She's seen
Exactly.
clips. She's never seen it in the thing. Because I get that too. I get women like, "Oh, you hate women." I'm like, "Have you seen my videos?" No. Well, then you're an idiot because now you're making a judgment on something you
Exactly.
haven't seen.
But we're having real
Take it away
conversations.
just for. I just have to get the door real quick, but
Yeah.
keep going. I'll be right back, guys.
So that's my point, though, is
Sorry.
the media is trying to control everything. They want to control the narrative. They want to control what we see, what we don't see. They want to control what perspective we have on everything. And so you have to question everything you're hearing, everything you're seeing. And on top of that, you have to understand that these things matter and that the media suppresses this in a way that we can't have these real conversations. Like it takes something away from women, like I said. And so the big thing to understand here is that we really need to step up for these kids. Because like I said, I mean, I was watching a documentary the other day called Quiet on the Set, right? On HBO. If any of you have seen that, there was this kid that I grew up with. His name was Drake, right? And he ended up getting taken advantage of. And what this predator did was he took his dad out of the equation entirely. Like he completely went and talked to his mom until his mom was so up in arms about it that she took his dad out of the equation entirely. And then this kid ended up getting raped by this guy who he trusted, who he was working with. And this guy was his speech therapist and all that kind of stuff too. And it's like, people take advantage of kids they know are vulnerable. And you have to understand that nobody's really safe for this kid to be around. You have to question everybody, everything. But at the same time, we have to have real conversations with these kids. We have to really sit down and let them know, like, people are going to take advantage of you. They're out here to take advantage of you.
Right.
You need to understand these things. And this is why we need to be role models for these kids, so that when they see that somebody isn't acting the way that the person they idolize is acting, there's something wrong. There's something off. This person shouldn't be saying these things to me. This person shouldn't be doing these things to me. This person should have values and morals that are different than this. And that's the problem with not having positive masculine role models, is that these kids don't even know what they look like. And so somebody who's a pretender can come in and take advantage of these kids. It's a bigger deal than we like to think that it is. And nobody's really sitting down and having these conversations. We could prevent this before it ever happened by just being positive male role models for these kids.
Yeah. So I mean, we're 45 minutes into this, and this can be a long conversation, but I think we both agree like where it starts, and conversations is really what needs to happen. And I think it's first conversations with men together to kind of figure out, okay, here's my limiting beliefs. Here's maybe you're a man right now who's going through a divorce and the dickhead judges are kicking you in the balls. It happens. It happened to me. I don't like judges either for the most part, but you're limited in some capacity to see your kids, and you love your kids, but this is a political game. This is a legal game, and you're feeling jaded. And of course, maybe you get to only see them 4 or 5 days a month, whatever the hell it is. You still have an obligation and ought really to do everything you can to be a positive influence in that kid's life until such time you can get more time with them. You almost have to play the game. This is just what it is. Unfortunately, it is what it is, the way society is. If you're a guy who has largely abandoned your kids or just had kids, and I'm not going to say you're a piece of shit. Maybe you're watching this and you're trying to figure out how to get back in their life or trying to correct a wrong. It's admitting you made the mistake in the beginning and doing what you can to start seeing that kid, because it doesn't matter if the stepfather or the uncles or the dads are very positive in life. It's always going to be the biological father, no matter what, will still have the most positive impact on that child, or negative, positive or negative, however way it goes. If something happened and you're a single mom out there, you're watching this, and that just can't happen for whatever reason, I'm not judging you. They're just not there. Then it's now your obligation. It's your children first, before your boyfriends, before your career, before all this bullshit society says you're a strong, independent woman. Well, no, you're a mom first. From all this, you're still a mom. And so together, even if you're a mom in this and you join their community, I'm going to do my best I can do to give you some insight, maybe even hook you up with a mentor local to you that there's really no sexual chemistry. It's just somebody who wants the best, because it is the children. Like, look, I'm 50 years old. Maybe 20 years, 30 years I got left. I'm 6'1", 220 pounds. So basically 73 is kind of where I'm done. We need we have an obligation to push our kids and our grandkids and the next generation to get into a better position than they are now, because it sucks right now. If my child right now, he's 20 years old, I wouldn't want him to get married. Like, in this society, like, what the hell? Now he's prepared. Like, he's a solid man because I raised him that way. And my daughter's a solid woman because I raised her that way. but you don't know who he's selecting. You don't know who she's selecting. So it's scary out there. I don't know. There's so many different things that have got fucked up and gotten sideways. And a lot of it, I don't want to get too churchy in this. We all lost God. We all lost God. God's nowhere to be found in any of this. And whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, I don't really care what you believe. If you get back to those teachings, to the most part, there is a blueprint in how you should live your life. And most of the time, if you live your life that way, it's always positive. If you don't live your life that way, it's always negative. And we're in the negative right now. We're in the fucking negative right now. I don't want to get too much into that because this isn't a religious channel. I think I'm going to start doing more videos on that part because I think we're all missing the point. There is a religious aspect to this.
Well,
There is.
it's traditional values. Like most religions
Yeah.
have traditional values, and like they
Yeah.
hold those values dear. And like that's the thing is
Yeah.
they prioritize those values. And so even if you're not religious, you're still benefited by living that way because it is a successful way to live your life. It is a successful way
is.
to create a family that loves each other and is happy.
Yeah. No, it is. And, I wrestle with this a lot because I'm in a position now where I wasn't always a religious person. I've been saved. I don't want to get too much in this because this could be another video, but I've been saved. But then I realized my idea of being saved is vastly different than reality. You can't just say you're saved and do the same bullshit you did the day before you got saved. It doesn't work that way. But a lot of people think that. And I think for even me, when I tell people this, it's kind of like that finger. If you point a finger, there's three pointing back at you. This goes three times for me. There's some things in my life that I'm doing that it doesn't align really with church doctrine or what I believe. It's not that it's bad, it's just it's not aligning with them. And I'm starting to feel this void or this there's something uneasy in my life because the more I understand it and I'm not doing it, there's a separation. This is how society has been probably for the last 50 years. If you look back at your grandparents or maybe your great grandparents, divorce didn't really happen. The parents stayed together. There wasn't Facebook and Instagram, so Grandma Lil couldn't post an ass shot and 50 dudes, 100 dudes like, "Oh my god, you're a goddess." All the simps of the world couldn't do this shit. There wasn't porn sites for the guy to go jerk off. Like, that's your wife for the rest of your life. That's how it was. Make it work. There was more of a religious aspect. There's more of a societal expectation at that point where shit just worked better. I think shit just worked better at that point. Now we have do what you want, do what feels good, free love, screw who you want. You're an empowered woman. You're a boss babe. You're a top G guy. I hear Andrew Tate say all this other shit. You have all these people and all this bullshit going on. Are you a solid woman? Are you a solid guy? Really? And if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, would you allow your daughter or your son to date you if you're a woman? And if you can't say yes, then there's problems. That's the way I've been kind of acting in my life lately. Would I let my daughter date somebody like me? I can honestly say yes. Would I let my girlfriend, like her type, date my son? Yes. And you want to ask that in your partner. Would you allow this to happen? And if you can say no, then there's a problem. There's literally a problem in your life. So
Absolutely.
there's a lot of things going on in my life right now that are shifting very quickly, and I'll share it with you guys as I go. But it's definitely, I think, to me, it's getting back into God centered, listening to the teachings that He's laid out for us, and I don't know. It just for me personally, I feel more at ease. I'm like, oh, the book's already fucking written. Cool. Like, I just got to read the book, do
Just
that.
it.
It's pretty easy. I don't have to make up my own rules, and everybody's making up their own rules right now. And this is why everyone's fucking shit up.
Yep. And the thing is, too, is they're doing it arbitrarily. Like, they're not really sitting down and thinking about what matters to them. Like, what values can you even tell me your personal values a lot of the time, right? Can you even tell me what your purpose, your mission is, your why, what drives you, what you really want? Because if you can't, then you have no business telling anybody what to do. You have no business being out here really living your life in that way, right? So that's the thing, is like, if you haven't really sat down to do that kind of work, and that's the kind of work that we're talking about. That is why programs like this exist, because we will make you sit down and do that work. I can't tell you what to do or how to fix your life until you do that work. You need to tell me first, what matters to you? What are you passionate about? What do you like doing? Do you even know? A lot of the time, I know for a fact you have not sat down and collected the data. You have not sat down and journaled. You have not sat down and identified what matters to you, what energizes you, what makes you happy. You have not sat down and figured out, like, am I even doing the right thing? Am I even with the right person? And I guarantee you there's a plethora of thoughts on the inside that make you feel otherwise, that make you feel inadequate, that make you feel like something's off, that make you feel some kind of void in your life. And the reason being is you're not putting in that work. You have not sat down and mapped those things out. You have not sat down and done your journaling. You have not sat down and decided what activities energize you, make you feel good. You've not sat down and figured out what your personal values are. You've not sat down and figured out what your purpose even is. And so you have no idea what to do. You have no idea where to go. And so that's really what all this is about.
And like you said, and I kind of touched on it, if you're going to kind of make up your own rules and say, well, Beth told me this, and all my girlfriends that are going through a divorce, I should get a divorce, and it all feels good, and girl power, and the guys over here say we should just sleep with all these other girls and bang hoes and drive fast cars. Like, you guys are all coming from the same camp, and it's the camp that I view of, and I fell in this. This is how I know. It's like this camp of deflection. Like, it's almost like there's this void in your life, and you're trying to. Doesn't matter how many girls you're banging. Doesn't matter how many of this. Like, you're trying to fill this void, and the only thing that can, for me, can fill the void isn't that. It's understanding what it is, and I think our kids of today are trying to fill a void that they don't really understand. Like, I never had a dad, so they're filling this void. Girls are big time with this when, like I said, they have daddy issues. They have a void. There's a void of a positive male role model. Boys also have daddy issues because what they do is if they don't have a positive male that showed them how to love a woman, showed them how to go to work, they actually become chauvinistic pigs, and that's still a devoid of their having daddy issues. I'm going to prove I'm a man by banging 20 girls. I'm going to prove I'm a man that I have a fast car. I'm going to prove that I'm a man by being loud and fighting everybody. Both sides. And so I think a lot of it, like you said, is sitting down and understanding with our youth. Like, none of this is being a man. Are you a good man? Are you a net positive to the people around you? Are you there presently to those people that you love? And it's hard because if you never really answer those questions, if you don't really understand who you are, then it's very hard to ask those because it's all about you. Society wants to make it all about you, and it's never about you. Like, my girlfriend says, "Are you always happy?" To me, happiness doesn't mean shit. It's never really about me. It's not happiness I'm here for. It's like, what can I do with the time I have to make other people happy? And then that gives me happiness. But
What is
I
worth
don't need happiness.
sacrificing yourself for? That's just it right there. What is worth sacrificing yourself for? Because life demands sacrifice. That is what life is all about. We live and we die. Life demands your sacrifice. And so you might as well make sure that sacrifice is worth it to you. And that's really what purpose is all about. You know what your purpose is as soon as you know what is worth sacrificing yourself for.
Yeah, and we just did, and guys, if I don't know if you can do this, Chase or Kim. If you can put our calendar in there, guys. If you're watching this, you can book a free call with us. It's a discovery call. I think I booked like 9 calls next week on, I think, all of them about purpose. Like, I don't really know why I'm here. I don't really know why I'm wasting my time. And so I don't know if I can help them, but I'm willing to try. That's kind of why we're here. Like, I don't know if I can help you, but together we'll find that out. And it doesn't cost you
Right.
anything if I can't help you. But the purpose of this channel, the purpose of what Kim does, what Chase does, what I do, is if we can just help you with one area of your life, find that domino, because it's always a domino. It's the biggest thing I talk about. There's one area in your life, and it might not be purpose, it might be something else, but you're calling it purpose because you don't have the word. We're going to try to find that domino. And when we find the domino and you work to tip that domino over, everything else in your life just seems to get better. Is it perfect? No. I mean, nobody lives a perfect life, but we need to find that one thing that keeps coming up in your life, that there's a void or there's something you're avoiding. It's always something you're avoiding. And we need to find that. And if you have, and you do it straight on and you honestly try to attack it with all of your focus, all of
Right.
your energy, and you can knock that over, you're like, damn,
Well,
I've
the
just
thing is,
increased my value, my life.
it's the thing that's preventing you from breaking through. It's like a
Yeah.
chain on your ankle, right? And you keep
Yeah.
hopping up, and the chain pulls you back down. And you keep hopping up, and the chain pulls you right back down. And you just keep repeating it over and over and over and over again. Like you look at year after year, and it's like I just keep repeating the same crap over and over again. I keep getting with the same people. I keep getting into the same kind of job. I keep feeling the same way about my job, about my family, about everything else. I can't ever seem to get out of this loop. It's because you're chained to it. And that's the thing, is we want to identify what that thing is and break that chain. Like you got to put all your focus, time, and energy into breaking that
You
chain.
do.
And so
You
the
do.
biggest thing is understanding it is purpose. A lot of people confuse passion and purpose. And the thing to understand there is that passion is a feeling. Like passion is just emotion. Passion comes and goes. And passion usually doesn't come before you figure out your purpose. It comes after. And so that's the big thing, is once you understand what your purpose is, you know what your key driver is, you know why you're doing what you do. And it doesn't matter when things get hard, because I'll tell you right now, if you rely on passion, things are going to get hard and passion's going to go away, because you're going to feel that tension and you're going to feel entirely different emotions, because emotions are a spectrum and they come and they go and they're temporary. Purpose is not that. Purpose is the thing that drives you when nothing else is driving you. It's the thing that will give you that drive and that energy and that enthusiasm to get up every single day and figure it out.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing, is understanding that it does feel like a void when you don't have purpose. Some of the men, I want to read some of the things to you that some of the men have told me about purpose, and like the things that they've said that they're struggling with. They've said that life is like a never-ending circus of stress and confusion, feeling restless, anxious, and exhausted all the time, struggling to get anything done and falling farther behind. Like you're floating through life without any direction, constantly procrastinating and feeling guilty for it. Everyone who has it together is leaving you in the dust, feeling frustrated and leaving self-esteem in the gutter. You're lost, stuck, and worried about your future. You can't even find joy in activities you used to love. Everything just feels pointless and empty. Have you ever felt like that? It's probably because you have that chain that's keeping you from reaching your full potential. You don't even know what that full potential is, because nobody ever showed you what that full potential is. Nobody ever showed you the map for how to live. And it's up to you to create that map. And so you're just wayfinding through the world. You just got to find true north and start walking in that direction. It doesn't matter what that purpose is or whether you have it, but knowing what direction it's in makes all the difference. And so that's why we're talking about purpose, because this purpose void is the biggest thing that comes out of this fatherlessness situation. And these boys need purpose. And that's what would really solve all this stuff for them. And if you feel like this and you feel like you want to find out this stuff, then yeah, first and foremost, book a discovery call with us. But at the same time, we're going to be doing our first purpose workshop in July. There's a link below that you can find on that. If you guys want to go sign up for the waiting list, we'll get you the dates. We'll coordinate with you there. But go sign up for that workshop. And it's free. It's completely free. We're going to sit down. We're going to give you guys exercises. We're going to go through it together. We're going to tell you guys exactly how to start identifying that purpose. I'm going to give you worksheets that are going to give you direction on that stuff. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, like I said, it's totally free. We just want to help. We just want to help you guys stop feeling like that, because we've made it through to the other side and we know how painful it is. And so that's really what this is all about. I have an entire app that I've been developing for a year that will help you with all of these things, with the journaling, with the tracking, all that stuff too. And we'll talk about that in the workshop.
Awesome, man. We're a little bit over time, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. We'll be back here. Are we doing next Friday just because it's right after 4th? I'm not sure what your family has. I don't know.
I think we'll probably take the holidays off. We usually do we usually take those off for sure. Yeah.
Well,
and then we're
yeah,
gonna do the workshop
the 4th.
after.
Yeah, guys. So the 4th is Thursday, but Friday is like a travel day kind of thing. So we won't be on a live um, next Friday. I think that makes sense. A lot of people aren't really in the space to watch it. So we're going to take next week off. We'll be back at it on, I think it's the 10th, which will be the next Friday, whatever it is. Get on our waiting list for that workshop. If you want to jump on our Facebook group, at least click on the link. That's free. Introduce yourself. I'm going to do an introductory message when there, but I want you guys to introduce yourself. At least tell me where you're at, where you live, and what prompted you to actually join our group. Because a lot of people, they join our group, but then they don't say anything. And I get it. They're maybe a little timid. They just kind of want to feel it out. But I'm here to help you. Chase is here to help you. Kim's here to help you. We have other coaches that I can bring in on literally any issue that you might have. So if I can't help you, I will find you somebody who can. But we're very interested in what prompted you to come in. And if you don't talk to us, how do we know? Like, what's the point of joining a group if you don't talk to us? So I do ask you as a favor, just at least tell us where you live, why you joined. We're going to send you a private message, either Chase or myself or Kim. It's one of us. We're all the co-creators. At least a message, hey, we just want to know a little bit about you. So maybe you're not a public person. You'd rather talk privately. We're going to just send you a message. We'd love for you to respond. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. We get a lot of people who don't. But the idea is we want to get to know everybody in our group. We're not just here out of the fucking ether creating thousands of people we don't know. We want to know everybody. I told Chase earlier, I'd rather get our group to a number of everybody interacting and talking, and then we close the group off. And he's like, well, why? I'm like, because if I have a core group of people who are always interacting and talking, I don't need more. I can't service more people. But we have a large group that most people don't talk. And it's like, it's frustrating for me. I'm like, you reached out to us and you join, but yet you don't talk. So I want you guys to at least know that you can tell us anything. You can talk to us. If you're not don't want to do it publicly, you can always send us a DM. We will respond to your DMs. We're just here for you. We're just generally trying to help you guys in whatever capacity we can. And if we can't help you and you need therapy, then we'll say, listen, this is not coaching. This is therapy. Like, I can't help you with this. And I will try my best to find you a therapist in your area. With that, guys, I do want you to have an amazing weekend. Chase, I'll let you close it off, but I'm done talking for today.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's why I said I really wanted to run this purpose workshop, because this is my purpose, this business and being here, because I grew up without a father and I know how hard it was for me to figure my way out through life. I have 4 kids of my own now who I'm here for every single freaking day. And on top of that, I want to make sure that these kids have more of these role models out there. I want to create more of these role models. I want to create more of these win-win situations. My wife and I have been together for 20 years, since 8th grade. We've been together our whole lives. I've been faithful the whole time. And so I want to teach other people what it means to be that. Like, I'm not a super religious nut. I mean, I attribute to God, sure, but like, I don't go to church every Sunday or anything like that either. I mean, granted, like, I feel the spirit, all that stuff, whatever. I like the traditional values, all that kind of stuff, because that stuff is what's really enriched my life. And so this is what I really want to give to everybody. And this is why I'm so passionate about what we do here. I gave up a $50,000 a month marketing agency to come and do this. And so, like, everybody thought I was crazy. And my mom thought I was crazy, everything. Everybody gave me so much crap for this. I've had to trudge through crap just to be here. And so this is what I'm doing. This is my life. This is my mission. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm here for you guys. You guys want to reach out to me? That's exactly what we're here for. Reach out in the DMs, book that discovery call. Let me know. We're here to talk. But with that, you guys, have a great 4th, and we will see you guys